Yeah, what's going on, everybody? Once again, we got another video from Hot Tub Politics. If you like this video, please subscribe, like it, and comment. Share it. I love comments. Any comments that come, I will respond. Anyways, today we're talking about the coronavirus, the good old coronavirus. I don't think I've made a video on this yet, and I'm pretty excited to make this video. I think the response to the virus has been, at least in the US, has been kind of too extreme and caused a lot more problems than needed. The response was worse than the virus, I would say. All right, so let's look at this. So to start things off, I'm just going to say I'm not a healthcare professional. I'm not a scientist. I'm none of those things. All I am is a person who thinks and questions and challenges. So today we're going to go over some questions like, where's the US at in cases and deaths? How accurate are the numbers? And the response to the coronavirus. So we're going to go to, I apologize, this video is going to be really numbery. So let's take a look at some of the numbers I have found. So all these numbers are up to date. I got them a couple hours ago, and you can get them yourself, really easy to find. I just use this simple like map right here. It's on Google, and it's probably pretty accurate. I mean, Google's pretty awesome. And let's take a look here. So recorded global total, 18.5 million cases. Recorded global deaths, about 700,000. US recorded cases, 4.8 million. US recorded deaths, 160,000. US death rate, 3.28%. Percentage of population infected, 1.48%. And so that's the percentage of the US population infected based off this number, 4.8 million. And then the US percentage of total infected is 26%, and US percentage of total deaths is 23%. So looking at these numbers, just taking these numbers at face value, the US is really sucking at handling the coronavirus. But just think about it. Just think about it. The key word here is recorded. So my opinion is that the US is recording the virus the best. And we have 4.8 million, and our population is only 4% of the total global population. So just think about that. Now let's move on to this. This will really let you think. So look at these huge populations and look at the recorded infections. China, place where the virus started, they only have 84,000 recorded viruses. I would definitely challenge that. China is probably lying to the whole country. China tried to keep this virus unknown as it spread. So we can't really trust China. Their infection count is probably at like 100 million. I wouldn't be surprised if it's that high. But anyways, let's take a look at this math here. So the recorded US cases about 5 million. That's about 1.48% of our entire population. So if you apply this ratio right here to all these big countries, you get 20 million cases in China, 20 million in India, 3 million in Brazil, 2 million in Russia, about 3 million in Pakistan, 3 million in Nigeria, and about 4 million in Indonesia. Those are a lot bigger numbers than the recorded numbers. And if you add all those up, I mean, just China alone would be beating the global world or global total recorded cases. And then if you apply this same percentage to the world population, you get about 112 million cases. And then if you take the US recorded cases over total cases, possible cases, 112 million, you get about the US going from 26% of the total to about 4.32% of the total. So basically, the US is right where it's at if the total is 112 million. It's right where it's at because the population of the US compared to the total world population is 4.33%. So we're actually slightly lower than the where we're at in regards to just population size. So hopefully that wasn't too confusing for you. Basically, I'm just looking at simple ratios and applying them to other countries. If the US has 1.48% of its population infected, let's apply that to places we know are lying, or not necessarily lying, like India, just India is not testing enough. Then you get a lot bigger numbers, like 20 million. So basically all I'm saying is the world really doesn't know how many cases there are, and to say that the US has 26% of all cases and think that that's like a huge problem, I would question it, because if the number was like this, then we don't have a huge problem. And I mean, in the US, we could have 10 million cases, but we don't know because we've only recorded 4.8 million. A lot of people get this virus and don't know they have it. That's how dangerous it is. You don't know you have it because it doesn't do anything to you. So you could probably make a lot of memes off of that, and there probably are some out there, but yeah, hopefully this makes sense to you, to all of you. If not, put some comments below in the box, and I might make another video. And now let's move on to the death rates. So the United States death rate percentage is about 3.28%. So that's deaths divided by cases. And look at that. Compared to other modern countries that I guess receive a lot of praise, we're actually not doing that bad. Like, people praise Japan a ton, and we're not that far off. And the Japanese culture is way healthier than the United States culture, and they've been wearing masks and social distancing before coronavirus even existed. So I can see why they have such a low rate. And then places like Canada are doing worse than us when it comes to death rate. Look at these: Italy, France, UK. The average is about 15%. That's horrible. That means if you get the virus, you have about 1 in 6 chance of dying. But if you thought logically, this number isn't even accurate, because there's probably way more infected people than just 248,000 people. Once again, the recorded cases is the key number, recorded. So the US is doing a stellar job of recording cases. Like, anybody at this point can go get a test. Like, the hospitals all have COVID testing. There's tons of companies out there, just to name a few. Let's see, CVS Pharmacy, Quest Diagnostics, Everlywell, Fault Health, One Health, Genelite, Color, Cepheid, Abbott, or Abbott Labs, LabCorp. Tons of companies are doing COVID tests. And a lot of them are just like mail, like you can just get it shipped to your house. You don't have to go anywhere. You just get it shipped to your house and then ship it to the lab, and boom, you get your results in like within 72 hours, 48 hours, and you know if you have COVID or not. Or you can go to like a CVS Pharmacy. There's like 1,400 locations around the United States doing drive-through COVID tests. So if you get exposed or have symptoms, it's pretty easy to get a test. So I don't know what everybody's complaining about in the US response to COVID cases, or in response to coronavirus. And also, in the first place, the United States was heavily reliant on China's manufacturing for our PPE supplies. So that's kind of a dangerous situation. The virus sprouts in communist China, and then China has all the medical supplies, and they could easily just keep it to themselves. So we've learned one lesson, that manufacturing, at least when it comes to healthcare and PPE, has to come back to the United States, so that we can better handle, if another pandemic comes out, we can better handle it. So I don't know, those are my thoughts. And one last thought, like I kind of spoke about it earlier, we probably have a lot of people dying because the United States just isn't healthy, and you can't really blame that on any specific politician. You're just not healthy. Like, a lot of people in America have pre-existing conditions because they don't eat healthy, they don't exercise. So hopefully this is an awakening to a lot of people that they just need to eat healthier and exercise, and you probably will, your likelihood of dying from COVID will probably drop severely. Once again, I'm not a healthcare expert, but those are kind of common sense things. So yeah, soak all that in. And once again, I use this map right here. And then also over here, I want to check out why Japan was doing relatively well. And I kind of got some mixed reviews on, I'm kind of in the middle on their reaction. Like it says right here, Japan has tested barely any of its population, one of the lowest rates among developed countries. So they're not really testing that much. So that's one thing to be concerned about. And maybe testing is not even that important because Japan doesn't seem to be doing that much and they seem to be doing pretty good. So when people freak out in the US they're not doing enough testing, once again, that's wrong. We have plenty of tests out there. And number two, maybe testing is not even the solution. All right, and then it said Japan had lots of contact tracing, like lots of public health officials that were available before coronavirus hit. So like Japan was already kind of doing this kind of stuff. The different strain, there's a study that came out that the strain in Europe was a lot more severe than the strain in Japan in regards to how fast it spread. So I don't know, some of those things sound believable. So there's a lot of different factors that go into this virus, and I don't know, Japan, honestly, they probably just are handling it really well because the people eat really healthy. I wouldn't be surprised if that would be the biggest factor. Once again, not a health official, just speaking my thoughts. If 50,000 Japanese got the coronavirus and 50,000 US people got the coronavirus, I bet you a lot more US people would die. So people just need to eat healthier. All right, now the last part of the video is going to be about the response to COVID-19. So I think the response to COVID-19, at least in the US, has been kind of ridiculous. Like right here, we're banning religious worship in California. That's pretty ridiculous to me, because that's a part of the First Amendment. It's a right. And a lot of people support this. They're like, oh yeah, we should definitely stop people from getting together in big groups. Well, what do you say about this? This is big groups of people. COVID is just going from this person, that person, this person, just all over the place. And politicians have not really said anything about this, which is kind of absurd. They will stop small gatherings of religious worship because, let's face it, there are not millions or there are not thousands of people going to one church building. It's probably at most a couple hundred going to one church building, and they're not jam-packed like this. They're usually keeping their distance anyways, and they're just exercising their First Amendment right. And then this stuff over here is also exercising your First Amendment right. So since when does the government get to decide which rights we get to exercise? That is pretty ridiculous to me, and we should definitely protest the government on their COVID response. And based off my earlier videos, if you've watched them, I don't really care about these protests that much because just go watch my previous videos and you'll know how I feel about them. All right, and then right here, you see this. So this is about when the protests started. So I bet you the reason why, if the U.S. does happen to have a unique, an extra large number of cases of coronavirus in the United States, don't go blaming people going to worship. I'd blame this. I'd blame all these protests because, I mean, look at this. We start going down a little bit, and then like we hit May 25th, about when George Floyd happened, and things kind of flatten out, and boom, we explode. So I don't know. Maybe the protests are highly linked to the spread of coronavirus in the United States. I would not be surprised if that's true. But basically, to sum this all up, my thoughts are, nobody really knows how many cases there are. Nobody really knows how many exact deaths there are. It's good to track the virus and get some ballpark estimates, but when most countries around the world don't even compare to the capabilities that the US has. The US is probably the best bet we have in recording the coronavirus. And even then, the virus isn't that scary in the United States. I wouldn't be surprised if we have like 30 million cases in the United States and people just aren't getting tested because they don't have symptoms, or I don't know. That's probably the biggest factor, I would say. So to me, the virus is not that dangerous. It's something. It's important. We should focus on it, and we should social distance and wear masks. But the reaction of shutting down everything for this thing is kind of ridiculous, and I think it's done more harm than actually help us in dealing with this virus. The virus is going to spread no matter what, whether you're in America, whether you're in Japan, it's going to spread and it's going to infect people, and that's what's going to happen. And we just have to do our best. And I don't think lockdowns and restricting certain rights and allowing other rights to go unhinged is the answer. And yep, so those are my thoughts. Let me know what you think in the comments. Here's the question of the video. I always have a question for a video. What do you think of the COVID-19 numbers? Please comment below. I will respond to all comments. And we'll see you on the next one. Thanks so much.